Greetings, all. This is a divine court hearing, a divine legal proceeding. I'm merely putting on the record. I am putting on the record as a vessel of the great God, Universal Allah, Infinity, chosen to shift this world into a new age, operating from the positive polarity consciousness. I'm giving the the assignment of transmutation of these influential beings that have indirectly caused a pretty heavy, dense mass of fear-based records, memories, and energies through what the entertainment industry refers to as a sacrifice, aka a backdoor. If we can understand the law of transmutation, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It just changes forms, changes shapes, changes form from one thing to another. That is a universal law. A new age is especially governed by universal law. So the material consequences are materializing, manifesting at such a faster rate because this age is of a higher frequency. We're restoring back to divine order on this earth vessel. So the frequencies are lighter, the frequencies are higher, oscillating more towards light speed. Therefore, everything is happening like way faster, way quicker, materializing way faster. So that also includes divine judgment. That is divine judgment accounting for every thought, word, and deed recorded in the great God, Universal Allah's registry of thought, words, and deeds of every human, every inhabitant on earth, and any multidimensionally recorded on this earth vessel, involving this earth vessel. Anything involving this earth vessel gets recorded. So the great God, Universal Allah, explains to me this is why these rappers, these trappers are legally able to be sacrificed by the spiritual wickedness in higher dimensions, and through these, whatever you want to call them, entertainment avenues, right? Because violating a gross amount of universal law and being under that universal law, to whom much is given, much is required, there are consequences that are, again, subjecting these rappers, these trappers, to this dynamic. I vessel being chosen for this a new age of Aquarius, positive polarity consciousness, operating, governing this earth vessel, this eon, this era of time, this age, it's a new age. We officially ended age of Pisces. We left a old age, a whole world. A world was created. That age of Pisces, that world was created by every thought, word, and deed. Was had to be made manifest, and that is the result today. That is the result today. So we are continually in this transmutation process. Um, this vessel is experiencing. It's being directed from the all towards I vessel. It's like that. If you're up, I'm down dynamic. Um, I'm going more towards freedom. So the opposite is feeling the oppression that was casted upon this vessel, the age of Pisces. It's a pole shift. We shifted polarities. We went from the negative and we are in the positive polarity now, right now on Earth. So we already did a pole shift. We're just seeing the physical manifestation of it. We're experiencing the great falling away. Falling away from one consciousness governing, operating Earth, this Earth vessel, to a whole opposite polarity operating its consciousness, the positive polarity consciousness operating and governing this Earth vessel. So this message is, bitch, get shit. This message is for whom this vessel has not been physically sacrificed, but the great God Universal Allah is saying that this vessel is being lined up for a sacrifice. This vessel is a rapper. This vessel is a trapper. Well, we're getting distractions in here, so let's hold on. So this vessel is a rapper, is a trapper. This vessel, the great God has assigned me to trade spirits with multiple artists that were physically sacrificed. I am the transmuter vessel. I am transmuting their negative records, memories, and energies recorded for their on behalf of for their vessel, from their vessel to their vessel. All these record memories and energies involving their human vessel at their incarnate time. The great God has assigned me to do this transmutation work. It's very grievous because these records involve so many souls that that particular artist's thoughts, words, and deeds affected and influenced. The mourning aspect, these sacrifice rituals that involve so many souls that are mourning and celebrating at the same time. These energies, again, enter the law of transmutation, universal law. These energies they have to change frequencies. They have to go from these extremely low frequencies back to neutrality for these timelines to be collapsed. And the great God Universal Allah assigned my vessel to do this for some of the consciousness formerly known by Nipsey Hussle, Trading Spirits, Tupac, King, consciousness formerly known as King Von, Aaliyah, Left Eye, Lisa Lopez, amongst others records that are coming across me to be transmuted because they are pardoned by the great God Universal Allah for the what is it called? Their scales of Maya, I would call it. Their scales weighing more positive than negative, meaning they had a pure intent. They had a positive intent. It doesn't matter how they delivered their creations. The intent was towards the upliftment of humanity, the good of the majority, versus we have 1% that were chosen by Satan for the age of Pisces to take these oaths of silence, not to tell these universal laws and secrets, as to not, again, the script, knowing the truth and the truth setting one free. Because if the masses had the truth, then the masses would be pouring all of their pure positive life force energy into themselves, therefore growing their own stars, and rising back to their divinity. But there is an industry that harvests that energy and literally funnels it, transfers it to a select few that are under the 1%, to harvest this universal cosmic energy. And in the eyes of the great God, universal Allah, it is energy theft. It is being used for the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, the pride of life. That is lower self, the carnal self, the beast self. That is Satan, the beast system. And the great God has disclosed through the script the basic instructions before leaving earth, as well. Come out of her, my people, so that you do not be a partaker in her sins, so that you do not be a partaker in the divine judgment from her book of life. Every thought, word, and deed that was recorded for the United States Corporation and all of its members, body members, all those involved in the agenda of Satan, the agenda of lower self, the agenda of lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life, the beast consciousness, the lower self. This age is about the glorification of the higher self of the great God, universal Allah. All things divine in consciousness restored back to this earth. This is a new earth. The frequency is going towards light speed, towards divinity. Therefore, the oscillation rate is moving significantly faster. Everything is happening faster, materializing faster, on the polarity as well. So we all have to keep this in mind, that we have a record, a registry, where all of our thought, words, and deeds are weighed on a scale and to sentence us to quite literally repeat these lessons that we incarnated to earth for, that for whatever reason have been bypassed or failed, quite frankly. So again, I'm breaking this down. I'm using this individual as an example because this is an example of what is going on for this new age, a new age. This is infinity wars, war for the souls of man, war for any particle of pure positive energy. Well, because Satan has been divinely ordered to collect, take back. And it's happening in transfers, obviously, but take back, quite literally take back the pure positive life force energy that was stolen from humanity through these energy harvesting channels, avenues. These beings that I am assigned to, they are trapped. Some are and are moving forward, moving to higher planes of life, are transmuting to reincarnate for a different purpose, a different memory and purpose. Now, to do that and not carry that very recent baggage into another incarnation, this earth, one would have to have their records transmuted back to 0 point to start from a clean slate. That's why, if you know, things are carried from parallel, what they call parallel past lives. Memories, records, memories, negative records, memories are carried from parallel past lives. So these beings, because they are reincarnating into a positive polarity age, they cannot have these records have to be transmitted back to neutrality, back to 0 point. So this is job assignment. So I'm putting this on the record. This is involving a rapper, a trapper that is still very much alive. And according to the great God, universal Allah is the very elect, I do not know if this individual is aware of anything. I don't know what they teach the 1% that was chosen for the age of Pisces to influence the age of Pisces. I do not know. I do not know what type of masonry, what degree they are taught from, if they are just entertainers. Because to me, the entertainers are more of the puppets, of the puppeteers. They take a script and their job is to do it, or to say it, or deliver the message, or whatever it is. So I'm not aware of this at all. Again, I put on the record prior, I was practicing asceticism that's a bit of Sufism, a bit of denying the flesh, denying the beast self, the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life. So I was practicing asceticism on a 25-day fast, when I received the communication, even knowing who the rapper Nipsey Hussle was. I would call it a divine assignment. And I wasn't aware of the death of it at the time, but having fasted at the location, just having to do things like that. The alleyway, I mean, they have a gate up and everything, but the alleyway that he was killed, he was murdered, right? Me going there, sleeping there overnight, outside, sleeping there overnight, sitting up, sleeping, but sleeping up, sitting up, sleeping there as a part of a fast for just transmuting the energetic imprint that event had in that divine vicinity, or that divine mile radius. Having to do things like that, having to do things like go to the site multiple times to do soul retrieval work, maybe put out things like food, candles, things, or do transmutation work there, review records that were published in public platforms for the purposes of transmutation and accountability, because there are a lot of individuals, seen, unseen, behind the scenes, involved in these sacrifices. It's never just the fall guy. The fall guy, that's the bottom of the bottom of the barrel. We know that. This is involving a corporation. This is involving corporation personnel. This is involving PD. This is involving every aspect contracts, lawyers, judges. It's a whole network that's involved in targeting an individual. And the rank goes so high, even politicians, because these individuals, they were, whether we knew it or not, they were influential in the shifts of humanity. For example, Nipsey Hussle, enlightening the world about Dr. Sebi. He went to went higher. He went higher and sought to do mainstream and went mainstream just to have more of a far-reaching influence on the minds of humanity and freeing the minds of humanity. So these individuals became targets because in that game, you have to take an oath not to tell, an oath of silence. That is the rules, the laws of the game. And if anyone breaks those, you're breaking it against Satan. You're breaking the rules, and you are targeted for a sacrifice. And again, this rapper trapper, I wasn't even familiar with the consciousness formerly known as Nipsey Hussle. So I didn't find out about this individual until I saw the video that these individuals did together. And it was, the great God revealed to me that these rappers are from the same soul monad. That's the same soul monad that even Tupac comes from. Because Nipsey is in the same soul monad. These souls travel together. And they may incarnate even at different times or timelines. But Tupac is a part of the soul monad. More advanced soul. Nipsey is a part of Tupac's soul monad. How I describe soul monads are, they're like schools of fish. If you see in the ocean, you see the schools of fish, they all travel together. They travel everywhere together. So these souls is a big mass, a big ball of energy that travels through the cosmos together. And they all split off into physical incarnations, but they are the same consciousness. This was Tupac, this was Nipsey, and this is not an as evolved soul as Nipsey Hussle, but they are the same consciousness. I am the same consciousness as Nipsey Hussle. We just have different stations in dimensions. But the common consciousness, the similar consciousness or the equal consciousness or the same consciousness is upliftment of humanity, upliftment of mankind, the good of all. That is the divine mind, the consciousness of the great God, universal Allah. Islam, I self-law and master, taking courses in self-mastery on earth. These beings, us beings, again, is being lined up right now for a sacrifice. This is according to the great God, universal Allah. I could just say that this is my personal opinion, but it was expressed to me from the great God, universal Allah. And it is the same consciousness as Tupac, the same consciousness as Nipsey Hussle, just different dimensions, just different consciousness levels or stations. It is who they call on that show with the Brotherhood. It's Dave East, Mr. Dave, that they call Mr. Dave. They're calling this it's very hard to describe how, you want to call it Illuminati, the Brotherhood, how individuals get lined up for a sacrifice, because normally they are not willing to sacrifice certain values, morals, and principles for the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, for the satanic agenda. Satan holds those 1% chosen by chosen for the age of Pisces. Satan holds them to the same law: to whom much is given, much is required. And see, that is that's a no-tell. That is they take oaths to secrecy. And we are not in the age of Pisces. Was a secrecy age. We are not in that secrecy age any longer. We are in the age of truth, transparency, the divine records of the great God Allah coming to light, being exposed. We are in the age to tell the truth, to tell your truth. Anything that could set your consciousness free from sin. Sin again, sin against the great God, universal Allah, or sin against your values, morals, and principles. So, again, oaths are, in this age, oaths are sin, because we are here to free the earth through its inhabitants. So, again, this is what the great God, universal Allah, is revealing to me, that this brotherhood, they have the trajectory of the Christ minds, the divine minds, the universal consciousness. They have these wise men, and it is the same story of baby Yahushua, whom they call Jesus, and King Herod, which was a one-man government, but his empire was ending. The age was ending. Empire was ending. A Christ was born, who they described as a Christ, just a universal consciousness being, a being that came from the great God, universal Allah, was born and was heir to his throne. These beings, these vessels, our vessels, we are heir. It says the meek shall inherit the earth. We are heirs to this a new earth, this earth that is being formed, the age of Aquarius earth. We are the chosen. We are the 1% chosen by the great God, universal Allah, to literally shift this earth to its divine order. We are doing this shadow work, this trauma release work, and there's a group, they're the very elect, and they don't know that the great God has a interest in their vessel. They are not aware of this. They may have urges for humanity, for what's it called, philanthropy, the good of all, divine union with the great God, universal Allah. It could be any of these things to why the great God, universal Allah, has interest in their vessel. And this Dave East his vessel is a very elect. They are calling him Mr. David. The great God is saying it is he has CEO or boss energy. That could be what he is elected for this a new age, because again, there's not one set position for this new age. There are light workers chosen for this a new age, and there are dark workers, those that they are in between both ages, both worlds, because they are the ones that have access to the minds of the old world. And I do know that is the case with his vessel. Now, how the great God develops a vessel. This is a whole transmutation process. You're this today, and the great God is taking our vessels from glory to glory. So where I now have a galactic tongue, a galactic language. I had no clue about anything of how to naturally speak it, I naturally rap it. I had no clue. I had no idea, no abilities in that. And the great God has upgraded my DNA to superhuman, and now I do all of these things. It's for the glory of the great God, universal Allah, though. So anyone that has a burning desire and passion for to know personally, intimately, the great God, universal Allah, that would be someone that is the very elect. So all right, so the brotherhood around him they are lining him up right now, because we have the Jim Jones who has Nipsey Hussle in his likeness and image. Anytime he speaks, you're looking at Nipsey Hussle. That is a destiny type of swap tactic. You want to be a rapper. I don't know when's the last time he's did music, but he wants to be a rapper. He wants new life as a rapper. But he's sitting in the image and likeness. Nipsey is plastered on that wall. Nipsey Hussle has not given consent to doing a podcast because there is no time or space. All energy reaches every consciousness instantly the moment that it's thought of. That anything is thought of, it reaches the subject of focus instantly. So Nipsey Hussle did not consent to being a partaker or being a part of the podcast because Nipsey Hussle is going through record memory and energy clearing for a reincarnation in a positive polarity age, because that's the only thing that Nipsey wanted to do. Nipsey just wanted to teach individuals and free individuals. That was his ultimate passion. That was his ultimate passion. That's what drove his soul. So this is not in alignment with his trajectory as his new self. This is not that podcast. It's not the podcast is very misogynist. It has a lot of homosexual undertones. A lot of lower self talk. A lot of fear-based programming. A lot of negative suggestions to the subconscious mind, which creates one's reality. Nipsey Hussle suffered soul loss from the death contracts and all the other players and these being seen, unseen, behind the scene, having shares in his life force creations through trickery and deceit. So again, this vessel, Dave East, is of the same soul monad. He is of the same consciousness of these beings, the Nipsey Hussle, the Tupac. That's not to say that he is more soul advanced, but he is in the same soul consciousness, the same soul monad. Just, they're all just split off in different bodies. But it's like when you see that, when you meet that one that's a part of your soul monad, it's an instant recognition. Like, that's, wow, they're just like me. That's what it is like meeting someone in your soul monad. And unfortunately, when you are meeting others in your soul monad, from the age of Pisces chosen ones, it becomes a competition because there's only room for one spot pretty much. So as was the case, just a lot of competition energy, and that's what's going on in that dynamic the great God is revealing on that podcast. So Jim Jones has Nipsey Hussle behind him. Whenever they cut a clip, they cut to Nipsey Hussle, his some part of his body with Jim Jones, and Dave being the energy. Dave is the energy of Nipsey Hussle as well. Just to somehow look, different degrees. Obviously, we know Tupac was embodying even a higher consciousness level than even a Nipsey Hussle. But as the there's a top of the chain, just like the same way that a school of fish travels with a soul monad, and it goes down degrees, pretty much. So this is black magic. That's what's going on this show. He's sitting in Nipsey Hussle's likeness and image while has his eyes, his energy. He can at any time direct his energy towards Dave East, which is the same frequent. They're similar frequencies. They're similar consciousness. They have the similar ideals, uh, similar ways. So he's able to direct his energy wherever. This is universal law, where your attention goes, your energy flows. So he's able to tap into Dave's frequency, which is of a it's a universal consciousness energy. While he's sitting in the likeness and image of Nipsey Hussle. And I saw the great God, Universal Allah, ran a record by me of him also, visiting the restaurant and everything. And I know from records that they've had interactions or camaraderie, whatever, I don't know what you want to call it, associates, but they are two polar opposite consciousnesses. Nipsey Hussle is a universal consciousness. Tupac is a universal consciousness. Jim Jones and the Brotherhood, they are the satanic, the beast consciousness. They are expressing, oscillating, operating in the consciousness of lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life. They serve Satan. This is why the great God, Universal Allah, ran a clip by me. This is why they were telling but not telling, using a scenario to let Dave East know that he has to pick a side. Because for you to not fulfill all of the requirements of the Brotherhood, meaning you stay relevant and you rise in rank by doing to whom much is given, much is required for Satan. Ethics, values, morals, principles are not welcomed in that world. That is it's a world of an extremely low frequency consciousness. To whom much is given, much is required. These individuals are a part of the Fraternal Brotherhood organization, right? They are not relevant. Not relevant. This is not any type of disrespect. They're just figures from the past timelines. And we are collapsing those timelines. to neutrality, to 0 point. So what happens when a figure that represents the past continually talks about the past? What they are doing, they are generating extremely low frequencies on a positive polarity Earth, and they become a target for whatever you want to call it, transmutation services, being transmuted back to 0 point, back to neutrality. That is the agenda for a new age. So they are, again, this is a form of energy harvesting. They're doing it from the positive polarity consciousness beings, which they're energy harvesting off of Nipsey Hussle, because he's in a process of clearing records. His book of life is up for review. His every thought, word, and deed that was created from the age of Pisces is being transmuted back to 0 point. So anyone that is redirecting extremely low frequencies to the dimensions and realities where he is at is violating universal law, is violating the great God universal Allah's agenda to restore this Mother Earth's vessel back to divine order. Jim Jones, from what I see, I pronounce judgment on this individual for referring to melanated, whom the European beyond has cursed as Black, Negro, color, African American, as roaches. I pronounce judgment on this individual for that degradation of these. Again, they are not Black queens. Black, according to science, means dead. Queen means a whore. These are melanated goddesses here for upliftment. And it's a lot of, again, misogynist undertone, and it's a lot of degradation that is being generated and circulated. And this is a sin to have Nipsey Hussle's consciousness a part of this, because he's departed out of the flesh and he deserves to rest while he is being a perfect work is being accomplished in his consciousness. Just because he does not have a physical body does not mean that his consciousness is not operating. And it is. This is why these records are resurfacing. You're seeing new music coming out on the label. Although I do not agree. I do not agree. I feel like this is more energy harvesting to put out more negative thoughts, words, and deeds, or extremely low frequencies on behalf of the consciousness formerly known as Nipsey Hussle. And Nipsey Hussle is in the process of having his records cleared. So again, when Nipsey Hussle rises in consciousness, we have an earth that shifts as well, because this dynamic that he departed the flesh in was designed to trap him in the lower dimensions of weeping and gnashing of the teeth, in the lower dimensions of Gehenna. Again, the universal law of transmutation: energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It has to be transmuted from one frequency to another. The same way water goes to a solid, goes to a gas, goes to a vapor, etc., etc. He departed in heavy betrayal, grief, trauma, war, violence, extremely heavy, dense frequencies. And on top of that, these sacrificial rituals they generated masses upon masses from the masses of humans that were present. If Nipsey Hussle was the was the focus of the processions or ceremonies, then Nipsey Hussle was absolutely receiving these energies, and the great God showed it as the I don't know what tarot card that is, but the individual with the knives, the swords, that wakes up in a nightmare. His consciousness. When you go from being the ruler of your world to you lost your world and you wake up somewhere that you are not familiar with. He's still a consciousness. He still had to experience this. And I, as well as a lot of other beings assigned by the great God Universal Allah, assisted with this transmutation process. So again, this is a divine court hearing and a transfer of all outlets, avenues that are generating, recycling, regurgitating, circulating these negative records, memories, and energies pertaining to the incarnation of the consciousness formerly known as Nipsey Hussle, as well as pulling the records for this dynamic between the vessel known as Dave East and what the great God calls it, being lined up for a sacrifice. A sacrifice can look many different ways. Someone whom the great God, Universal Allah, explained to me was a sacrifice, but it wasn't a departure out of the flesh, was the rapper, the trapper Max B. His career was sacrificed, and he was destiny swapped with. He went into jail and someone took his life force, his creations, and rose in stardom because of that. There are a lot of different ways to sacrifice an individual. And again, I see the Decepticon tactics, the ganging up, sort of, I feel an undermining energy or a like taunting type of energy. I mean, I saw the record where Mano straight up told him he wanted his powers. Because if this is a vessel of the very elect, meaning the great God Universal Allah wants to use their vessel for this age of Aquarius for whatever way to reach humanity, to uplift humanity, or to reach the lost sheep, the melanated lost sheep, whom the European has cursed as Black, Negro, colored, African American, Black according to science meaning death, Negro meaning four-legged animal, colored meaning painted, stained, varnished, or dyed. When we have melanin has the deepest hue, Hue, i.e. we are humans, we are the people, we are the natural persons. Again, African or African American, we're native to this land that was recently renamed America. So, look, this is a situation that can be prevented, because this is just the thing about these male vessels. They don't have the womb, they don't have the wisdom. They just don't understand, the same way that Nipsey Hussle did not understand that this is a age, a world that was formed from the beast consciousness, from a satanic consciousness. That is the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life. Satan. It is not, that is not love. That is not the great God, Universal Allah. It is lust. It is not cooperation. like the great God, universal Allah, is competition. These are polarity of consciousness. And again, this brotherhood does support one another, but if there is one that is a black sheep, then they are targeted for the sacrifice. Now, another individual, this is how these the has been artists, the artists, they get new life, meaning they have a turn to be up next again. They have to sacrifice a newer life. They have to sacrifice a being that has life for us, that has life. So right, exactly when I saw the record that Dave played, Method Man, I knew that that was the same thing that Snoop Dogg was trying to do with Nipsey Hussle. And Nipsey Hussle didn't accept the offer to play him, because that's sort of like a trade that could become a trading places contract. Oh, well, play me, I'll play you. And then they rise to your trajectory, you can say. If you're the very elect, you can be the chosen. I was a very elect at one point. I passed a certain amount of initiations and had particular upgrades, and I am a chosen vessel. So they know who these vessels are. Again, it's exactly like the King Herod story. The King Herod story, exactly like the King Herod story. And when the universal consciousness being was born to replace the throne, this is a new throne. This is a new empire, a new era of time, a new dynasty, a new world. There is a new throne, and the great God, universal Allah, is sitting on the throne, governing this earth. Satan is not on the throne. Satan does not have dominion any longer. That ended with the age of Pisces. So these are rituals that are being done. These brotherhood members, that they're not relevant for really music artistry anymore. They need new life. They need a rebirth. So they have to find a match. I ask myself, not in disrespect, but who in the world would want to see a movie about Method Man? I don't know Method Man for anything except for the Mary J. Blige song. And yeah, it was a great song, great childhood song. But that is past records memory. We're collapsing all past record memory energies. All past record memory energies have to be collapsed to 0 point for a divine earth, for a earth restored back to divine order. So these influential figures, they become up next to be transmuted back to 0 point. So they need new life. And I'm like, who would want to see a movie about a Method Man? That's just not, to me, that doesn't strike as something normal. But again, as I uploaded before, see, these entertainers, they use these scripts, they use music videos, they use movies, they take roles to do types of shadow work. So everything being a contract, everything being agreement, they don't know what that exchange, what that contract was. Dave East doesn't know what that contract was when he agreed to play, because the subconscious mind does not differentiate between real from the fake. Dave East's subconscious mind did not differentiate that he was just playing Method Man. Unless I, EYE Infinity, command it to BISMILLAH Infinity. That was a part of a divine court hearing and a legal proceeding to basically dissolve any agreement of the subconscious mind that Dave East would play a Method Man, because the truth is Method Man wants new life. He wants a rebirth to his career and his creations. So to do that, one would need a sacrifice in that old world. That's how the old world operates. So, absolutely, an agreement could be made. Hey, you play me, but you may not know the fine print that he may be desiring to play your role. Meaning, Dave East I see he has views. He's a relevant rapper. He's actively in the now, in the present moment, creating. He's not just on a podcast talking about what he has done in the past. Because if we understand universal law, there is only now. There is only now. Anything other than that is a violation to the great God, universal Allah. So again, they're harvesting his energy to combine that with the likeness and image of Nipsey Hussle. Now, again, we don't know. Look, it took the whole industry. It took them about 5 years, and they were working on that before then. It took them over 5 years to sacrifice Nipsey Hussle. That was a very, very elaborate takedown, and it involved so many different networks. So I wanted to put that on the record. And again, we handle these situations. Whenever I call in a divine court hearing and a lawsuit, it's never just about this vessel. It's always about these collectives that are a part of infinity. So it does involve him. So again, I always petition for not just EYE, infinity, vessels, consciousnesses, any realities that I choose, EYE, infinity, choose multidimensionally, but also any from infinity, animate or inanimate, pretty much. It could be anything, animate, inanimate, chosen by EYE, infinity, to also transfer to and from and be beneficiaries as well. So this will include this situation, this revelation, and this is also being put on the record to assist the very elect to be aware when anyone is using your likeness or image. We're going to divine court hearing and transfer for any on IEYE Infinity, this vessel record, a Book of Life record, on the record for having any of the all copy and likeness image pertaining to destiny, energy harvesting, divine, etc. This is a divine court hearing and transfer as well. And this is, again, because the great God universal Allah told us, even the very elect shall be deceived. Even the very elect shall be deceived. So we, as the body of the great God Allah, we are supposed to bring this to the attention and awareness of others so that they could save their own soul as well, save their own soul as well, and not lose their soul. Because we are, again, universal disclosure, we are in infinity war. Satan has come to collect on these negative records. So yeah, it's a lot of individuals losing aura, and they are seeking aura from others. This is the name of the game. This is the name of Infinity Wars, the purpose of Infinity Wars. So we all have to protect our energy and protect the energy of those whom we are guardians of, because we are guardians of the galaxy. That is true. Bismillah, infinity.